Yo, Bingy, yo, Okapanga. Yo, you ever know Rasta, you ever know the whole team, you know, man. Listen me, Yaga. If a boy ever this,
we drop it.
Yeah, because I feel like, yeah. All right, so we not getting Yaga, but yeah, the I should be part of this though, still.
Yeah,
Same
man,
way.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, naturally, you know.
Yeah. But, hey, but different, you know, we have a good run from June to now where most time all the way available. But the time I go come still, you know, when, and I say that go because everybody a big man, everybody have their own different thing over there, you know what I mean? So some of the time we have to go know say one's and one not available some of the time. You know
So
what I mean? So
active same way.
Circumstances, yeah.
Naturally.
as we say, I work we are the same way, so you know what I mean?
That work of a deal with this, man.
They work hard. But really and truly still man, I feel different because I remember one time I think Bingy wasn't available. A Bingy? I mean, I tell you, that never feel right at all. It never feel right. I think when they start, like we say we have to start without being something like that. It never feel right. It never feel right.
No, the island that I recording, man, was some show. I can't remember this show.
Naturally.
Was one of the
The balance views, man, brother Delani.
Naturally.
Brother Dulani, yeah.
You don't mess up anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, come down, man. But is a way same way still, but we do give thanks naturally still, cause you know, so the energy, even when the one that really present physically, you know, so the energy are the same. So I still come down same way still. I see it. But we really want to just give thanks for the timing we're in a dispensation of time, because it's a great energy right now, the 2nd of November, you see me? I know it's a significant thing to African people globally, you know. So, you know, so for the ones who don't know, the commemorative day, November the 2nd, is commemorative of November the 2nd, 1930, which was the day when Haile Selassie, Haile Selassie, was coronated as the Emperor of Ethiopia, and Empress Washiro Menen was coronated as the Empress of Ethiopia. This was a historic happening as well, because prior to this, it was always the Emperor who was coronated in a public ceremony, and the Empress was coronated in a private ceremony, with His Majesty bringing the balance now of the male and female, the I to O, you know.
Yes, sir.
Said no more of that. So we're going to have a giant celebration, because the Empress is equally as important as the Emperor. So it's a balance, you know, and the King shift that dynamic, you see me? So, you know, Emperor Haile Selassie I Coronation. What it mean to the item?
Yeah, just in observation of November 2nd, His Majesty Coronation, brought in what we see as a balance. What happened, there was a shift in how even the very affairs of Ethiopian dynasties ran by His Majesty and Empress Menen being coronated on the same day. So you see His Majesty moving, shifting the way things are done and showing you this perfect balance. But for I still, I say globally, but for I who recognize His Majesty, we recognize Him through His works, and that's one of the works, right? The coronation day, for what He has represented to Rastafari. So there's a lot to see. There's a lot of history. I don't know that the significance outside of Rastafari of the coronation of His Majesty, what it really means to the public at large, right? It means more to Rastafari, because we see Farai than anybody else, right? So our viewing audience, for example, they might never cite Rastafari or coronation as the way I see the significance of it, right? The quality, the balance, the dignity of it, right? You know, even other kings and queens, right? Acknowledging His Majesty on that day as who He is, right? In this world of years. For I and I, it is significant because it's the works of His Majesty, right? That is part of the works, right? Coming through, we could see the works of His Majesty even through death, right? Whereas the coronation still is a process, right? It's a cultural process that is happening, right? And with His Majesty as the head of the church, as the Ethiopian Orthodox, we see the significance of it, especially to Rastafari. So for people who are viewing this, for example, the coronation, what we speak about is really significant to I and I, Rastafari, and we would like to share what it really means, most of all.
Yes, yeah, and as Bingy said, the significance is significant to Rastafari, but we want to take it back in time and to show how significant it was to not even just Rastafari, because the significant the movement of Rastafari to start, but it was really just before that, it was just black people looking was in a dire situation at the time and just needed that, you know what I mean? That like the enlightenment or that drive to strive for better. You know what I mean? And when them look and see, because in that time when you look all around you as a black person, you didn't see nothing that was, you know what I mean, that say, okay, I mean, a black person can do great things. You know what I mean? And then this was a significant moment, because when you look at, you see like a king in Africa, because in that time, Africa was just a bad place. You know what I mean? Everything Africa was bad. That's all you see and everywhere around you. That's what you learn. You know what I mean? And then when you look now, you see a king and a queen being crowned. Kings, you know what I mean? Sovereign of their country, head of state. And people are like, whoa, you know what I mean? This is a man that look like me. You know what I mean? So that empower black people, you know what I mean, to break the chains of that time it was after slavery and get a book in the time of colonization, you know what I mean, to break the chains of colonization, and trying to break that chain and break that, that mold led to the Rastafari trad, which is a black power movement. You know what I mean? Because, and that was, you know what I mean, the root of that is seeing Rastafari ascend to the throne, you know what I mean, with Empress Menen. So, yeah, very significant, man.
Yeah, man, a real talk, man. Like, and I think that this is something what African people have kind of stray away from because of the propaganda and the miseducation and misinformation that them associate to Rastafari, i.e. Kalamawe Haile Selassie. A lot of African people kind of shun away from him. But we have to remember, as you said, that in the time of the coronation of His Majesty, like, black people didn't have anything that they could hold on to as,
anything of value.
Use the word royalty.
Yeah.
You know what I say? They didn't have an idea that, black people had royalty, much more one of such a long lineage as well, because Haile Selassie is the 225th in the line. You understand what I say? And even His Majesty said he can still trace his lineage way beyond the 225 that them talk about all the time. You get what I say? Him say that him can trace his lineage way beyond that. So to have such a legacy coming down in an African embodiment in at that time in history was miraculous. You know, see it? And that was one of the things in that point in history as well that brought African people to a self-awareness, a sense of awareness, self-awareness, and to a point where they could identify and see themselves as, you know what, probably we're not just all they say we are. There's more to us. And it lead them now into a search now. And then now them coming to self-discovery. So Haile Selassie is a extremely significant person to Africa and Africans and people of African descent.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt that His Majesty is very significant to African and African people. But going back to what the I say still, and the 225th dynasty or even African people, even in the time when His Majesty is getting coronated, African people who had no interest or who have no knowledge or follow the history of Ethiopia knew nothing of His Majesty. It's only those who are actually following the works in East Africa or Ethiopia knew anything of His Majesty, even then till now, right? And the significance of the 225th dynasty to I still, me, personally, means nothing. His Majesty, his linkage to Solomon or whatever dynasty means nothing to I still. Because I never see His Majesty through no biblical lineage. I never cite His Majesty through no biblical lineage. I cite His Majesty through His works. So the significance for I is only through works. No connection to no Bible, no Solomonic dynasty, none of that stuff.
But
His word speaks for itself.
But you are not being totally in agreement with the I, up to the point where I said there's no significance to the 225th in the line.
No,
right?
I never said that. I said the I,
right, to the I, that's what I said.
225th dynasty or the biblical lineage in His Majesty is not what I cite in His Majesty.
Right, we give time.
Yes,
but what I say is that the significance of it is that as a people, it is important for us to have a awareness of our lineage, of our like our family tree. Our family tree.
Hold on, Rams. Hold on. So what the I is going to say now is that we will have to prove that a Solomonic dynasty, which is a Jewish dynasty, right? The people who adopted a Hebrew way, who is not Hebrew, in African in its nature. So that's what I'm talking about in itself will become not even a philosophical debate, but a historical debate, in one which you can prove that lineage that we talk about through the Bible is even African in its very nature. That's what we are speaking about. So that's why for I, His Majesty is more significant than that. That don't even matter for His Majesty to be His Majesty. His Majesty is His Majesty. To His glory, to His works. To what I cite Him for.
Another tracing it 200 and hard. For me, that is good for His Majesty. For him, that is good for him. That him can change family. But for I still, that don't really mean nothing because what I good for I if I can change. I lineage still.
That's all I say. So that's the significance of it, that we as a people should know that, listen, it is important for us to have records of our lineage as well. You see my dealing? Because
at the slave trade, we not really have that still. So we cannot lose that still.
Right. So that is what I said. That is the significance of it. When you say we now have ones who can really trace them lineage so many generations of a family tree. Which can be verifiable as well, you understand? Like McDonald's talk about going to a place in England, right? By the name of Longleat, which is like it would be like how we have a preserve or a reserve in Kenya, where you can go on these places and you can see it.
Yes,
so in England, them have this place, right? Where them have lions, them have eagles, them have all type of animals you can think of, them have. India, right? And they might preserve them and keep them and care them, right? And when you go into the main house, what they would have called the great house then, right? And you look on the wall, you see the family tree, brother, of the family. And it has traced back so many generations, brother. And it just shows me, say, oh gosh, man, what a terrible injustice that black people go through, brother. African people go through when them, like the average African person in the diaspora, brother, cannot trace them family tree 5 generations.
Yeah. But the thing is, you know, I'm still being guilty, you know, because some people, like it seems like because him can trace him lineage go to Solomon, is
Right.
making this
That
all
is the
powerful
significance.
and
Yes,
make
we
it more
understand.
significant.
Yeah.
And that is not the
I say
significance of
that
it.
that is no significant
that is
because
not the
I works
significance
when
of
Dr.
it.
do
Rastafari.
as Emperor Haile Selassie.
Dr.
You know what I
Rastafari.
mean? And it's significant
Yes,
of the
sir.
time too. It's significant at the time.
When him
You know what I
forward.
mean?
When
Being
him
crowned
forward.
as the king at the
Yes,
time,
sir.
and we mean to. I mean the black
African
people,
people.
African people at the time.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? At that,
Real talk.
we love, yeah.
Work,
Because
sire,
remember,
work.
say you did have a person who was the 224th. I have a person who was the 200th. And that person don't carry that significance.
No.
But Haile Selassie I carry that significance.
Significant.
Significance is
Him
not
come to the work.
right. The significance is not the 225th in terms of all
It's
the
a word.
specific. The significance what we are talking about when him identify say him is the 225th in the line is the fact that their generational records was kept.
Yeah, but then
careful.
Ras, we will make an argument, and the argument is if we say that now, we trace it His Majesty back to a lineage of people who we don't even consider African when you talk about the Solomonic dynasty, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about the Solomonic dynasty, we are talking about a people who are non-African, who take a Hebrew way, a Hebrew tradition and works, and compile it and turn it into something called Judaism in Rasta. So we trace it back to some religion called Judaism, which has nothing to do with I and I still,
Question, because him can trace back him line, and something that the mind tell me say is the Jewish line. But we go back to Solomon him attack. Can him trace back him African?
Yes, sir. That's why his
Yeah.
Majesty
Okay. Because it's two-sided, you know. Because it's two-sided, you know.
Yes, sir. His Majesty tell us him can't trace him lineage way for Solomon. Because and the reason why I'm saying that too is for the people know say, and really the Solomon thing we are talking about, you know. This is just to make you know say there is a record of our bloodline where the flow from time right through. You understand? That's why Kuman said we can trace our heritage long before Solomon.
I think I and I as Rastafari
We
this
get stuck.
Taiwan, this time, we have to move away from them 225th identity of His Majesty. We have to throw them thing away, Rasta. Them thing there
and
is
deal with the
old
works.
and thing.
And deal
Yeah,
with
man,
works.
we deal with works.
Yeah,
Works,
we
yeah,
We have
works, yeah,
no
deal with, man.
reason today to be talking about no Solomonic dynasty. Them thing is nonsense.
Yeah.
Them thing is nonsense,
And that
Rasta.
is if them thing there is real.
Yeah, them
Yeah,
thing
I
is
mean,
nonsense. We only go by evidence, works, pure works.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yes, I.
So according to
Yeah.
the works, that I was the works now.
And the
Yeah,
works
that's
are
right.
the thing, man.
we
The
see
works
we
are
are
the
Yeah,
thing,
we're
man.
Rastafari,
Because
Crown
Ras,
Nation.
if the I today is a prophet walking the earth and you're doing works, I don't need to know any lineage, any linkage on the eye.
Are the
Yeah,
works.
The only
Are the
thing that
works.
will matter is the work
The
the
works,
eye
yeah,
doing,
Real
the
talk.
evidence and the
Real
work.
talk.
Because
So them thing there we have to move away from. We have to shift away from
right
that
in because
ideology. Them is Western thinking still, you know. Them thing there is the West that
man.
influence I, that we always have to associate His Majesty with the Bible. First of all, a man, the I them know this, that author, you know, write a whole book on all the title of His Majesty. So if you are Rasta man and you don't know all them titles, what happened to you? What
Yes,
happened to
sir.
you? A whole book, you know,
Yes, sir.
on the title of His Majesty. If you are Rasta man today and you do, what happened to you? Then you don't even know His Majesty.
Yeah.
Then you don't know His
I
Majesty.
said,
you know.
why is that not the works?
So he put it there. He put all the title we know in a book. Enough to write a book, right?
I didn't know the works.
Nah, man. Right.
You
So
know the
we
title,
have
but
to
you
move
don't know
away
the
from them.
works.
Yeah, we had to move away from that
I
thinking,
really
man. We had
energy,
to,
man, but it still not take away
yeah,
from the fact that
man.
African people have to work on them lineage and
Yes,
them heritage
sir.
and
And
them
African,
family tree.
I say no African
Yeah,
people
man.
know, you know.
Mm.
You know about that. Being girls still at the works.
Yeah, man.
And right now still because don't care how great your line it was. and you come boy and do foolishness right now. That don't make no sense.
It's not
You know what I
different.
mean?
Yeah,
You
man,
can't
I
come say,
really
boy,
think, man.
I am coming from the great line of whoever. You know what I mean? This great man, and then you there upon earth right now, I don't be a folly. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what sense that make?
No,
You know what I
no
mean?
sense. No, no sense.
Me just love you because I come from this
You
great
come
land.
out
You
of the
be a fool.
lineage. In the
Yeah,
lineage.
yeah, and me just accept what you do then. Me know say I'm foolish and accept what you do because hey, you know what I'm saying?
In
Come
the
from the great
lineage.
line of
In the
Solomon. So
lineage. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
man. I say, no, yeah, I works. Right, India, I works.
I agree, man. But we agree with that. We don't
Works.
disagree with that. But we just say, as
Yeah, man.
African people, it's important to know
All
from
I'm
the tree.
saying still is we had to move away from associating this majesty period with them type of thing.
Because what I'm
And
trying to use is
the reason why it creates more confusion, right?
the thing is fire. The thing is fire. They might use these things to try validate His Majesty, and His Majesty is self-validated.
He don't need it.
Himself validated. That's
Yeah,
it.
yes, I. His Majesty
But,
don't need no
is it
validation.
for
His
me?
Majesty is the validation.
For me, them things
You
they
get
take away.
SI.
Because we
Yeah.
add, for me, them they take away because we add them things there because, you know what I mean? You see them things that way Rastafari, watch out Rastafari, add some little things to him to make him look more powerful and more magical and, you know what I mean? And then we are really looking to them things there, seriously with the common sense. Just say, that's some foolishness. Yeah, that.
No,
So
no,
then,
Yes, I.
when a sensible man who is not
Semantics.
Rastafari, look for them things, they don't say, Rastafari they are fool. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. It is that.
Yeah, because
Works,
trying to
man.
make him look magical and Selassie I step and
Yes,
bam and
I.
send these and him still alive and all them foolish there.
That 13 piece.
Yeah, I mean, say, oh, they go foolish and I mean, to me, take away. You know what I mean? I think it's the man that works, man.
The thing is, you have people who are going to be attracted to those things. But the reality of His Majesty still stand predominant. You see it? So no matter what them try to use to kind of illuminate His Majesty, in life and in works, illuminate itself.
Enough.
You see me I say?
Yeah, man.
Illuminate itself. So as far as so we do give thanks to it.
And just about the coronation. Coronation we really attack about. I will see where the coronation when black people, I say black people see the coronation, it give a rise to Rastafari.
Yeah, man.
Rastafari, child, and you see Rastafari come both and evil. Spread the black message or the black upliftment to a wider range, and Rastafari touch people all over the world. I do the works. The inspiration of Rastafari himself. Rastafari now, the shot now, the spread, you know what I mean?
Naturally.
The black today. All over the world, you know what I mean?
Naturally,
so, all of that, a Rastafari, Haile Selassie at the root of that. You know what I mean?
Natural.
The work we are doing right now, you know what I mean? Because of the inspiration of
Rastafari. Yeah, man, real talk. Give thanks, man. So on this coronation day, next coronation day, you know, remember the works of His Majesty and the significance of His Majesty to African people and to the continent itself. You see me? And we just want to just remind the ones them say, look into the eye self, because that is the real purpose of the Rastafari movement and the Rastafari culture. Is self-awareness, you know?
Yes, sir.
Self-realization, you know? So we do give thanks for the moment and give thanks for the reasoning. You know, just a little small snippet to just commemorate and recall His Majesty and the Coronation Day. Do give thanks, my lord.
Yes, sir. Blessing.
Yes, sir.
Rastafari, Yaga, truck friend of the living for your